everyone. My name is Sophia, and I'm the founder of Surf. I'm here to not only talk about Surf, but also talk about how annoyed I am at the differentiation between virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, X reality, and reality, because it's really overwhelming, and working in the industry really, really sucks at this point. So the title of this talk is called Stop Fighting Over VR, AR, MR, XR Nomenclature, and What to Focus on Instead. So this is my life, and this is anyone who works in this industry's life. Also people who are in press, they have to make all these differentiations between mixed reality and augmented reality and virtual reality, and I'm here to tell you that it's actually one industry, and so the more that we separate, the more that we hurt the entire industry, and so we need to focus on advancing all of the realities because it is the future, and so hopefully by the end of this talk I will help you do that, and you can leave this talk not trying to correct people about what mixed reality is and what augmented reality is and what virtual reality is, because honestly it's really exhausting. So let's talk about the different definitions of these technologies. Virtual reality, it's you're immersed in a virtual environment. Right now, to do that you have to be inside of a headset, and we'll go into why virtual reality is first. Augmented reality, more recently the term has become a way to describe flat images being like overlaid on top of your actual environment, so digital flat objects being overlaid on top of your real environment. And then mixed reality is a newer term, and what that technology describes is 3D objects being overlaid on top of your current environment. I personally think that mixed reality is a term that's come out in the past few years, that developed by Microsoft and Magic Leap, and companies that are trying to push forward their technology that focuses around 3D, because before that everyone was calling AR, like mixed reality is basically augmented reality. There's some differences, but at the end of the day it's just a new term that's supposed to be more simple for consumers, but actually by introducing a new term we've complicated everything for everyone else. And wait, I thought that this was mixed reality. So yes, this is a mixed reality stream of somebody inside of a HTC Vive headset, and that term came out around the same time as mixed reality, and so more people recognize the other mixed reality. Let's see, go back. Just because Microsoft and Magic Leap have way more money to push forward that initiative. But this is also a mixed reality stream. Who knows like what this will be called in a year. But just when you see something like this, know that this is a way to show people what people are doing inside of virtual reality. Okay, so yeah, what the hell is XR? That is a term that is coined by people working in the virtual reality industry because they're so exhausted by having to differentiate between all these different industries. So if you ever see XR, it's just like some combination of all of these types. I wouldn't be surprised if people started putting that information in more recent presentations because people are honestly exhausted. I don't think that XR is the right terminology to like push forward, but it goes to show that we need to stop separating all these things. And actually, this is a Venn diagram that I put together to show everyone that virtual reality and augmented reality, mixed reality, whatever, are more similar than different. There's a huge focus around 3D. When I say the end of screens, what I mean is more focused around 360, 180 content, because you are no longer confined to something like this. Hypothetically, if we were doing this talk in augmented reality or virtual reality or all of these realities, I could make a presentation that literally wrapped around this entire place. Is that the best use of augmented reality? Whatever. Probably not, but that's just going to say that we are no longer going to be confined to a computer screen, to a phone screen. It's best when positional tracking is used, and so there's a big argument around 360 content and the fact that you can't move about it. Which is why you see people pushing forward stereo content, which is kind of like, it's like fake 3D content more or less, so you can actually move about it. And for now, it's best understood with a headset. Hopefully, I mean, I'm sure we won't be all wearing headsets for the rest of our lives because that's an awful feature that I don't want to live in. And I don't think that you guys want to live in either. And I guess one big difference with virtual reality is because you can be you don't have to be in the same location as other people and to see a piece of content. You can be anyone that you want. Like if I wanted to, I don't know, be a butterfly right now, I technically could if we were doing this in virtual reality. But with that being said, if someone is in virtual reality, they can eventually be able to speak to someone in augmented reality. And so there's like a communication symbiosis that could happen down the line. We're not seeing that yet, although Microsoft is trying to push that initiative forward. Oh, and if I'm missing anything here, please feel free to tell me after, because I want this Venn diagram to be collaborative, because I think it's like a huge point around the fact that the industries are more similar than different. So why is virtual reality first? This picture I really like because it shows technologies from the early 90s, how it all fits now into a smartphone, which is just kind of crazy. And there's just a lot of advancements within VR, but the thing is that people still have to put on a headset. And so the reason why people aren't willing to put on an AR headset is because with AR, you're supposed to use it for like more day-to-day functions. It's supposed to replace your computer, but we're not there yet. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the HoloLens, but imagine wearing that all day, every day. I don't think most people would do that. But with virtual reality, you're willing to put on a headset for, 5 minutes to an hour or longer. And so, because you're willing to go experience another world. And I'll get to why these worlds need to be really compelling, because the longer they're in virtual reality, the better it is for the industry, as we learn more. But that's why virtual reality is first. Cool, so for any of this to work, we have to make sure that there's good content to stay inside of headsets for longer, as I mentioned before, because nobody has a child in their apartment or house that is going to be blowing like popcorn at them as they're wearing skis. Like, that's not going to happen, but we need to make content that makes people feel that way or is that immersive. The way that I like to explain how to think about these industries is we're moving away from 2D into 3D. So this is an artist who creates work in 3D, and then this is his art actually in 3D. So before, this is how he would have to show his art to people, and now with VR or the rest of them, he could showcase his art. Another example of this, imagine that she's just in her room, and you could see like her real life behind her instead of just this like the gray wall. Then that would be called mixed reality, technically. So before I get to the different types of content, I just wanted to showcase the fact that people are interested in doing a wide range of things with virtual reality. Everything from movies to healthcare is something that people are actively thinking and talking about. It's just a matter of making sure that the medium fits the type of content. And this is the way that I like to think about the industry. It's within gaming, storytelling, and interactive. With gaming, I'm not going to focus on that because I think that HTC Vive and Steam are doing a really great job of curating gaming experiences. My focus is more around content, and so that happens to be with storytelling and interactive. Some examples of companies that are doing amazing work in this space are the New York Times. They're posting one 360 video a day and really just pushing forward around what people can do with 360. Are all of them great? No, but a lot of them are compelling enough to get people interested in the medium. Scatter is a company that blends 360 and 3D together to do documentary style content. Within was started by Chris Milk, and so they're kind of championing a lot of the longer pieces around VR content. Interactive is content that exists that you can actually interact with, so to speak. So one artist that I really love that's doing really great content with interactivity is Kabibo. Other types of interactive content are companies in the web VR space. A-Frame is a web VR tooling kit, essentially, made by Mozilla, and then Sketchfab is doing great work with web VR. So what's the current behavior with virtual reality content? Well, more people are just showing their content to their friends and their family members than actually going back and using it. And so why is this? Well, the problem is that the creation isn't easy, and also consumption is super messy. So I'm going to walk through each of these scenarios. So creation is super hard. Hardware isn't ubiquitous. No one on their phone today has a 360 camera in their pocket. Nobody has a 3D capturing device in their pocket, and this is a problem. There are apps that are trying to solve this, but again, like this is a 360 photo app. Like nobody wants to do this. Like this is literally awful, and then your content is not that great. UGC at scale doesn't exist for the above mentioned reasons, and so even if you do have a VR headset and you're like making 3D content, it's not that simple. You can only share with a certain amount of people, or like it cannot be experienced in the way that you want it to, and so there's this huge disconnect. On top of that, if you're making a virtual reality world, the production of that is really expensive. You need to have a technical background in order to make that happen. And on top of that, if you're just doing 360 video, editing and stitching is still a problem and is still a hard thing. You need like serious computers to do that. And so for 360 and VR, even if you have the perfect team to build content and like have everything worked out, you still have to figure out how to tell a story, and we really haven't figured out how to do that yet. There is no Charlie Chaplin of VR, so to speak, yet, and there's a whole bunch of UI that is still undefined, and so that's something that I'm really focused on, and I hope that anyone working in the industry is really focused around like what is the best UI, because right now it's really confusing. So one way to solve this is that there's a lot of big companies who luckily have large pocketbooks, and so they're willing to invest a lot of money into these industries. Just today, HTC announced that they're working on a mobile VR headset that's not necessarily made by a phone. Google has been doing amazing things in this space. Also, their technology around Project Tango, which will include positional tracking in a mobile phone relatively soon, will propel the industry even further. Microsoft, Samsung, Oculus with Facebook, Apple's new next generation phone, they intend to have stereo or like 2 cameras and further 3D capture in that, so that shows that they're focused on the industry as well. Okay, so now we talked about all of the problems. Now let's talk about the fact that consumption is still fragmented. So like these are all of the, like most of the companies that are working on creating our platforms hosting virtual reality content. And I didn't include every single company that's trying to become the Instagram of VR because it probably wouldn't fit on the slide. But just know that there's a lot of different companies working on that very problem. And so the first solution to this problem of trying to get consumers into virtual reality is by lowering the barrier to entry. And what that means is we need to bring the price down. So Oculus, for example, in less than a year, dropped the price from a $1,000 computer to a $500 computer. Google has been pushing advances in the web VR space, so then that way people can start experiencing VR, whether or not they're on their normal laptops or on their phones. And then Qualcomm is pushing like better chips so that way phones don't overheat when they're using VR. And so, okay, cool. Now, like, how do we get people to come back to virtual reality? Well, we need to create a new distribution channel that organizes all of this content, similar to what Yahoo did and Google did in the early days of the web when they were like, okay, let's look for specific types of websites and organize them so when people search for them, they know exactly what it is that they're getting into. And that's what we're building at Surf. So yeah, we're indexing and curating content so that for all virtual reality platforms to be the destination for people who want to experience virtual reality content. And so the first step in us doing this was we launched this application called Surf Tabs, which was every single time you open up a new tab in your Chrome, in your browser, it powers a new 360 photo to you. And the reason why we did this was we realized that there was a bunch of real estate that wasn't being utilized. So your tab is just normally like a blank, it has the time, maybe some color or something. But we could start, if we powered 360 content to you, then we could help you start thinking about virtual reality on a day-to-day basis. And that could serve as a funnel to helping us understand what it is that users want to see, and then funneling into our other products. So by creating a UI that's more approachable to most people, we're growing the virtual reality audience, tracking their behavior, and then further understanding what it is that people want to see, and then eventually getting to personalization, so then that way my feed will look different than your feed, because everyone has different interests, similar to how Google functions. And this goes back to my original point, was that any company that's building for virtual reality today should also be thinking about building for all these other mediums, because at some point it all collides, and this is the next computing platform. It's not virtual reality as the next computing platform. It's not augmented reality as the next computing platform. All of these are the future. Thank you.
Awesome talk. Thank you very much. So just to make sure I understand.
Oh, sorry, I forgot that I have to do questions.
Yes, you're not off the hook just yet.
Sorry.
So just to make sure I understand, so serve is a search metaphor?
Yeah, so search.
But to be able to consume content, I need this very much to the point of your talk. There's going to be different. If I have one headset, I'm only going to be able to consume one type of content. So how does that work?
So
I guess what's my user experience?
You were right. So right now we're not after the high-end virtual reality market. We're approaching it from the more people who might have an interest in virtual reality but don't necessarily know how to go in. And so we're losing people that could be getting into virtual reality and could be getting into this ecosystem because they don't know what to do. And so that's why we built Surf Tabs, which was a way to have access to people who maybe have interest in VR content and are not really sure. And then we'll be launching web and mobile first before we launch on other platforms.
Okay, very good. Do we have questions?
Just a comment in terms of VR. The VR I usually see is one that you're restricted to looking around, or you might be going on a pre-scripted journey. True VR, really, from my point of view, would be something that I can explore on my own.
Right, so this is what I was saying in the talk, was that the more that we're true virtual reality or 360 content or augmented reality content, we're just hurting everything, because you saying that you don't like 360 content is then creates a subset within the industry, when actually it's just more immersive content. And so it's just, there are different types of content, and we just need to think of it as that versus trying to be that's not true VR, because at the end of the day, if it transports you, that should be that is a part of virtual reality.
It's going to be the throw of the yellow cube. Yes.
What do you think would be different about your feed of VR content and my feed of VR content?
Yours would be funnier. No, but seriously, we have different interests. So let's say that you, I'm really into 3D content. Let's say that you don't like 3D content. Then you should never see a piece of 3D content. I should never power that to you because you don't want to see it. And so, or let's say I'm totally making this up. I only like 3D, I'm really into battleships in 3D or something. Then I've looked at that every single time that I search for content. Then I should start seeing more 3D battleships more and more often, and you would look at my feed and be what the hell do you look at? I don't understand this. Yeah.
It almost sounds like Tumblr.
Yeah.
In a way too.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah. Hi.
What sort of metadata are you using to categorize and index the content?
Yeah, so when we index, we take the category and the description, then we run that through an AI engine called Clarify to get further insights into what exactly is inside of the content, and then we run that through our own engines, which then further classify content into categories that we specified. Hi.
Hey. Great presentation.
Thank you.
I was curious, so you guys design user interface, right?
Part of our product is focused around designing user interfaces.
Okay, that's the part I was missing. How do I participate in your project just as a normal user?
Yeah, okay, so we'll be launching the next few weeks. If you go to surf.com, SVRF.com and sign up, you guys will be first to get access to our platform.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
Just serve, just if people actually want to go, is
SVRF.com.
SVRF.com.
Yeah, surf.com, them spelled the normal way, was taken by Unilever, which I don't even want to imagine that price tag.
So I really like the message that at the end of the day, it's all content. I think that's really powerful and helps rebase people onto what's going on. I guess my question is there's less funnel content now today than there is, traditional HTML web experiences. So do you see your company helping firms create content, or do you see yourself as kind of passive organizing?
We definitely want to start helping firms create content, just in part because we'll have data across industries. So what are people interacting with? We'll have further insight into what people actually want to experience, and so giving that data back to the community is really important to us.
Cool. I don't know how to throw this thing.
Nice. Good. All right, last question from me then.
Yes.
So is WebVR the unifying?
Yeah.
Are you bullish on WebVR? Is that what solved that kind of silo problem?
Yeah, we're very bullish on WebVR. We do believe that we'll do integrations with technologies that isn't specific to WebVR, but powering it through the web is really important to us.
Okay, that you'll integrate with technologies that are not really, okay, so you'll start with all sorts of stuff that don't have anything to do with WebVR, but ultimately
yes.
will be, okay.
Yes.
Okay, very interesting. That was terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you.